and then choose to show up again and again and again and again and again for your country. This is your great country. This place is done. I'm going to get on the plane tomorrow. Much as I've enjoyed this, I hope I have invited you back. But I'm going to get on the plane and I'm going tomorrow. I travel 500,000 air miles a year. I'm one of Delta Airlines' 500 top travelers, and that is one of the 3 or 4 airlines that I use. I reside in Atlanta. I live in a plane. So I'll be somewhere else if I'm not invited back. But what will you be doing for your country? This is, I'll repeat, your country. So I hope you're inspired, or whatever phrase you want to add today, but I don't really care whether you're inspired. It's not my business. It's my business to give you the proper framework and the environment for seeds to grow. But you got to add the seeds, and you got to decide where to plant the tree, and you got to water it. What am I talking about? This conversation, I want to also commend the gentleman who said about spending. I want to thank you for saying that, for being honest, once again. That's a culture. That's not something that is rooted in the Saudi Arabian hundreds of years of DNA. That's a culture. That's something that was acquired. To tell you another culture that reminds me of, it's Detroit. I don't know if I mentioned this last night, maybe. 45 years ago, Detroit was the richest city. What am I about to say? The richest city in, don't say anything. Richest city in, wouldn't I say the States? Wouldn't I say it? Maybe I would say the richest city in Michigan. That's where it's located. It's pretty aggressive to say in the largest economy still in the world, the United States, $16 trillion economy. There's some context. You're about, give or take, $700 billion here. So 16 trillion is a huge economy. It's a quarter of the world economy. Isn't it enough to say that Detroit is the wealthiest city in Michigan, in this context, or maybe the wealthiest city in the region? Or what I say is the wealthiest city in the United States. That would be a major statement. Is that fair? Yeah. No, it was 45 years ago. Detroit, Michigan was the richest city in the world. Richer than Paris, richer than London, richer than any place in the world. Stand alone. Today, Detroit is 5 or 6 weeks from fiscal bankruptcy. I don't mean technical bankruptcy. I don't mean that they have some credit agreements that they don't like and they can't negotiate them, and so they need to restructure. I don't mean that. I mean they're running out of cash. No Riyali. That they won't be able to make payroll, I'm making this very plain, in 6 weeks. No trash being picked up by the sanitation department. Maybe I need to break this. It's not hitting you like I think it should. Maybe I need to be more basic. No salary. For workers of the government, no salary. The mayor, the city council, the police, the fire department don't know in 6 weeks whether they will have a salary. You go to the bank to say, I want to get a mortgage, or I want to have a car loan for my son, or whatever. The bank says, well, please give me some assurance that you have a job. This is why I give you assurance I have a job, but it's don't have the assurance that I'll be paid. What does the bank say? I'm sorry, I'm from the black church. I'm used to talking with you. So you can respond. They're not going to give them a loan. And if they don't give them a loan, then they can't acquire the house. Let's assume the house was $150,000 US. If they don't acquire the house, then the seller doesn't get the money. The seller doesn't get the money, then they can't go buy a new house. And if you don't get the money to buy this house, you can't then hire the landscaper to do some work outside. And you can't hire the guy or lady to come and paint outside. And you can't hire the maintenance people to have a contract to come every week. And you can't go to Home Depot or to wherever and buy some new shades. And you can't go to the furniture store to put something in. Are you with me? Yeah. The whole economy. Buying a house, when you spend $100,000 on a house, that has a ripple effect, maybe 5 times in that area. So if you can't say I have gainful employment, then your bank won't give you the money. The bank won't give you the money. Then you can't make decisions. If you can't make decisions, then your personal GDP, and when your personal GDP, your community GDP, your block GDP. Do you give a loan to your your brother? That was funny. Do you give the guy who's always asking you for some money. He's all every week. I need some money. Well, when you're doing really well, maybe you get this guy off my back here, just please. Do you give that guy a loan?
No.
No. Why?
No assurances of repayments.
You have no, and now you can't risk it. Do you then keep giving your children an allowance and they keep flittering it away? Can you afford this anymore? I don't think you really got this memo. I'm going to repeat this. Detroit was the richest
city in the world.
City in the entire, not even close. Number 2 wasn't even close. And all they wanted to do was go shopping.
When this happened, when they were the richest?
45 years ago. So not in another civilization. You don't have to read it about it in history books. You can go right now to your computer 45 years ago and see for yourself. John Kennedy was president or something. It's in your recent memory. And why? Ambassador Andrew Young says that men fell for 3 reasons. My mentor, Ambassador Young: arrogance, pride, and greed. Arrogance, pride, and greed. People in Detroit were brilliant. They created this automobile industry, but they were full of pride. They were arrogant. We got this. And they were greedy because they were making X number of dollars per automobile. They had it down to science. It was about hardware. And they said, the world, listen, now think about Saudi Arabia. The world needs oil. What we have. No, well, at this point it was the automobile. The world needs what we have. We've got them. We've got a lock on the marketplace. We have the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 automobile manufacturers. And we have not only the automobile, we got all the parts, we got all the vendors. We made everybody move to Detroit, so on and so forth. So we got this. And they just rolled it right into a ditch. So what's the alternative? Did they try to reimagine what the automobile looked like 45 years ago? Did they try to reimagine what alternative energy looks like 45 years ago? By the way, just imagine what 40 years ago, if Saudi Arabia had taken 20% of its wealth, 20%, and said, we're going to make a stake to become the world's leader in alternative energy on the planet. Quincy Jones says it takes 20 years to change a culture. I'd argue in the last 20 years we've made dumb sexy in the world. We've dumbed down and celebrated it. And we now need to make smart sexy again. But if 20 years ago Saudi Arabia had said just 20% of its wealth, I think even 10%, and year over year poured that money and innovation and ideas into becoming a vision, we will become the world leader in alternative energy. And by the way, the only thing that stopped that, for the most part, was fear. Why do that when you control, you said it, Now you won't say it. Oh, okay. Stay with me, brother. You can't be my sidekick. You can't do that if you're locked in fear. No. Why do that? Because we control it. Why compete with ourselves? This is it's crazy. So they didn't do that. Well, Detroit didn't do that. They didn't reimagine. They didn't compete with themselves. They didn't try to explode their own model. Try to reimagine, reinvent, try to figure out what comes next and work hard and hustle to reinvent to be relevant for the next 50 years. And they rolled that success right down into you go to Detroit now, a house that used to cost $150,000 US costs $7,000. You think about what you can pay for $7,000 today. You know, it's a set of rims for your car or something. I don't know. $7,000. You can buy a home.
It's 7,000.
I know you're stunned. Yes, 7,000 US dollars. You can buy a home that's bigger than, it's twice the size of this room. A dress, rooms.
It's in a dump, It's not in a fancy.
Hey. Well, no, but it was a $150,000 home 8 years ago, so it was a decent middle-class home. It was where the firemen couldn't afford to buy a house. It was a policeman couldn't afford to buy. He had to drive an hour outside of town to buy a house he could afford on his salary. So rainbows after storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. And here's the positive side of this. Now the fireman can afford to buy a home if he still has a job. Right inside of Detroit, you can. By the way, I think there's a fortune to be made right now in buying that home for $7,000, putting $5,000 in it to fix it up, rent it out to somebody, and cash flow immediately. It's another whole conversation. But yes, I did not make a typo, or I did not say something accidentally. Go to your computer after we finish and say, no, John's crazy. Detroit, $7,000 home. Just test it. And you'll see a beautiful home that shows another dump in a nice neighborhood. This was the biggest, wealthiest city on the planet. Crime-ridden now, overrun by.
Are they foreclosed on, or that's the value right now?
That's the value, but it's as a result, obviously, of massive foreclosures and supply and demand. Because the supply is way, way up, the demand is way, way low because nobody's got jobs. Because the story I just told you. I mean, you've got properties here. I no disrespect intended, in the middle of the desert at $500 a square foot. Come on, it's the desert. So it's demand, supply and demand. I'm getting a little off track. My point is, this is not a financial literacy program, folks. I'm talking about the future of Saudi Arabia. And I am aspirational, I'm hopeful, I am actually very positive that you have a chance here to move from $600 billion to $5 trillion by 2025. But you've got to move from hardware to software. There was another move from hardware to software, and then I know I'm boring you, so I will wrap it up. Bill Gates walked into his employer it wasn't as 20, it's probably 30 years ago, walked into his employer and said, you're in the wrong business. What employer did he have 30 years ago? IBM. IBM was 30 years ago, where was IBM in the pecking order?
In the top box.
It was number one, it was 1, 2, 3. I mean, it dominated the marketplace. And by the way, computers, the little iPhone you have, this is not a phone, that's a computer. It stopped being a phone when there was a Razr. Remember the Motorola Razr phone? It flipped up. Remember that? When that thing broke, you had to take it back to Motorola, to the shop, right? Because it was hardware. That's software. What happens when this thing breaks? Yeah, what do you do? Who does it?
You.
Yeah, how do you do it? And this is actually a revolutionary thought. Who does it? How do you do it? You plug it into the software, and you get a software update. When I first When I was first told, when I went back to something was wrong with my first iPhone, I went to the store and I said, this thing's wrong. I guarantee you it's not the thing. No, I'm telling you it's the thing. It's not working. No, I'm telling you it's not the thing. How can you tell me it's not the thing? I'm telling you the thing is not working. It's not the thing. Look, don't argue with me. I bought the thing. I'm a smart guy. It's not the thing. I don't mean to disrespect you, sir, but this is Apple. I'm telling you it's not the thing. Because the thing is just the thing. I don't know what he was saying. What he was saying was that the casing is 10% of this thing. The thing is the software. In the future, the phone has changed right before your very eyes. And he plugged it in and gave me a software upgrade. He reset everything. Thank you. It's not a recession, ladies and gentlemen, it's a reset. It's not an economic crisis, it's a crisis of virtues and values. Bill Gates walked into his employer and said, you're in the wrong business. Now, this was the 1, 2, or 3 business in the world. It was about hardware, computers as big as this building. What did his employer say?
Get out.
Get out. That was a nice thing he said. He said, now that's why I love what Dr. Adnan said. He says, I'm the boss. I'm the CEO. I'm the chairman. How dare you disrespect me? You must not understand your business. Don't you understand who we are? We're number 1, 2, or 3 in the morning. You're a kid. Get out of here. Get out. He came back in twice, 3. But the third time Bill Gates came in, what happened? Fired. Get out of here. Bill Gates, when the world closed the door, God opens the window. He goes home to his garage. He gets excited about an idea, and he opens Microsoft. I don't know, names are very powerful. Maybe you never thought about this before. Microsoft. What was he saying to his employer, who was talking about macro, hard? You're the past. But at that moment, did he look crazy? At that moment?
Yes.
Absolutely looked out of his mind. Because IBM was number 1. Another example, I know I don't have a lot of time. Mary will grab me the hook soon, so I have to quick. But I want to contextualize the conversation. Are we okay?
Yeah.
I want to contextualize our conversation. Steve Jobs. I'm only giving these examples. I want to shift to the Middle East in a minute. Sorry, but these are some easy examples. Steve Jobs, fired from his own employer. He created Apple and was fired. Imagine the Ben Malfouz brothers. They create this company. They come to work one day, and you. He's fired. He's fired. You say, we met with the executive committee. We think that you're a little off with your ideas. You start talking about we should be in some other business, or you start, look, I'm performing well, but we all come together. We think that you're nuts. You're out. Can you imagine being fired from your own company? Being fired is one thing, but being fired you put the board together, you put the company together, you grew it from nothing, and they fire you. It's an insult. It is that's beyond an insult. It's a humiliation. Yeah. So for 12 years he failed because he was humiliated, so he was angry. So the next company he created was a company called Next. Why do you create a company called Next? Because you're trying to send a message that I'm next from you. That's the wrong motivation. So it did not succeed. But he came back 20 years later to, of course, Pixar, and you now know the story. By the way, where's Apple today? What is it rating? Number 1. Are they in the hardware or software business? Software. Well, they are, but the hardware is incidental. They want to control the whole piece, but it's really the magic sauce is software. The world has moved from hardware, folks, to software. Where's Saudi Arabia?
We're 3 places from Kenya.
Thank you very much for the geography lesson. This is a great country. The government did a great job creating a foundation and infrastructure. The oil is a wonderful gift. By the way, your wealth was an accident. It was tied to an oil embargo. It wasn't like it was a strategic mission. You just decided to choke customers to make a point, and all of a sudden you figured out that supply and demand worked in a different way. You became rich. Ready, fire, aim. It wasn't even planned. So you're in the hardware business, you have a finite product, and we love to spend. So here's your plan. Can I have 5 more minutes?
Yes.
If you don't give it to me, I'll just sit down. So, well, no, you were here yesterday. Some people who have just met me. I need permission.
Please.
Yes? Look at these numbers. Don't trust me. Don't believe anything I say. Forget about my opinion. These are statistical numbers. 7 billion. I'm going to help you because Mary will tell me I'm running into your time. Otherwise, I'd ask you to answer. 7 billion. That's the population of the world. 300 million is what? The population of United States. 27 million, I'm going to give this one easy, is the population of Saudi Arabia. Thank you. Another 27 million, this one's a little tougher, it's not the population. 27 million relates to America. Don't say anything. 27 million is what? The number of what?
Millionaires in America?
No, but you're close. No, not million. No. Businesses. Companies. 27 million, the same as your population, is the number of businesses in where?
U.S.
The U.S. Maybe these numbers seem proportionate for you, but let me give you another one. Out of the 27 million, that's how many create jobs. 27 million businesses, out of the 27 million businesses, only 6 million businesses in America actually create 1 job or more. The rest of the businesses are the result of mergers, acquisitions, tax shelters, and organizational structures that benefit the shareholders. Out of the 6 million, somebody tell me how many businesses employ 10,000 people or more in the largest economy on the planet of $16 trillion. By the way, $16 trillion is a quarter of the world economy of $62 trillion. Just put it in context. So a quarter of the world economy is driven by 300 million people with 27 million businesses, 6 million businesses that create jobs. Out of the 6 million create jobs, how many of those businesses employ 10,000 people or more?
10%?
No. That's a good, I would have guessed that. No. That would be 600,000? No. The number's on the board.
Yes, so.
The number's on the board. 967. Let that sit in for a moment. It's about 1, it's less. 967 businesses, not 967,000. 967 businesses employ 10,000 people or more. By the way, everybody's going to college. Millions of kids around the world trying to go to college. They want to get through college, so they go work where? The 967 businesses, whatever the thing is, Aramco, whatever the thing. I want to go work with a big business. Okay?
Isn't it because of the software? IT affect the businesses
The industry.
to cut number of employees?
No. I'll tell you in 1 second. Good guess, but no. It's not because of what. It's not because of what didn't happen. It's because of what did happen. It's not because of what people are cutting. It's what people are growing, or actually the way jobs grow. So let me give you you set me up the next answer. So, what percentage of jobs? Can I step on you? What percentage? No, please move. I won't bother. What percentage of jobs? Get away from this guy. What percentage of jobs comes from businesses with 500 employees or less in the largest economy on the planet?
Less than 1%.
Less than 1% come from. So to make sure you understand, you say that less than 1% of companies employ 500 people or less. Anybody else want to take a shot? That's really a great. You're a student. What kind of? I mean, you're like with all disrespect, you're like the least likely person here to have some opinion about something. You're like the Bill Gates walking in telling the guy at IBM who's the CEO that you should love. Will you leave, please? What you get out of here? He's absolutely right. 99.9% of all jobs in America created by companies with 500 employees or less. Isn't that shocking? This is the largest economy in the world. Yeah. Whoa, jobs in where? Well, am I talking about jobs in the world? Is America in the world?
Yes.
I mean, we can move it to Mars if you like. Huh? Well, it's like I went to China, and the people in China were laughing at America's problems. We're glad, happy you are having problems. Let's slow down. When I stop building in America, you stop buying in China. Or sorry, when I stop buying in America, you stop building in China. It's connected. What do you think you're selling your oil to? And other growing economies. But so if America is a quarter of the world economy, it is global. We're talking about global jobs. Okay, so 67 versus 99.9. Now, last statistic on this. So where do the jobs, within the 99.9, when do the jobs happen? I'll help you. Between year 3 and year 7 of a startup. Between year 3 and year 7 of a startup is where job growth happens. I want you to think about Saudi Arabia now. I just told you it's not big business. It's small business. I just told you it's startups. And it's software versus hardware. Now let's go to Saudi Arabia. Let's go to the Middle East. How many jobs do you need in the Middle East in the next 8 years? The numbers on the board. 100 million jobs. Nothing should quiet you more. In the MENA region. Nothing should quiet you more. 100 million jobs. Okay, cut it in half. 50 million jobs. Well, cut it in half again. 25 million jobs. Cut it in half again. 12 million jobs. You still can't do it.
How many companies?
In America, 8% of all jobs come from the government. 92% of all jobs come from the private sector. In the MENA region, the government or big conglomerates. Big conglomerates don't create jobs. They don't destroy jobs. Why? Because you're trying to get efficiencies. You're shedding, acquiring and shedding. So here's your key. Here's your magic. What's that number? What does it relate to? 60% of the MENA region population will be under the age of 25 by 2020. Saudi Arabia is already under the 60% under the age of 25 right now. Here's your goal, and then I'm going to tell you the plan. I hope I haven't depressed you. Global GDP, I've already told you, is what? 62 trillion. Where are you? You're a pimple. Where are you? What's your number? I told you your number. 600, 700 billion. You're a pimple in the global economy. You got your, individual wealth. But in the global economy, I think you're a $5 trillion economy by 2025. I think you're going to go by 10 times. I'll tell you how. So right now it's 62 trillion. Gallup has predicted by the year 2040, global GDP will be 200 trillion. Here's the only question. Who gets 140 trillion? China. Let me tell you what. This one's easy. Within 10 years, remember this conversation, China's going to have very serious problems. China's not even growing the way that they're growing. They say that's all government spending pumping up, surplus spending pumping up the economy, because if they stop growing, if they drop below 6% GDP, they have social unrest and riots in China. There's 70,000 riots every year in China reported by the government. So if the government is reporting 70,000 riots a year, the number is probably more like 200,000 riots a year. That's a whole other story. Don't believe the hype about China ruling the world. 25 years ago, the hype was that Japan was going to rule America. Remember that? Economists, everybody agreed. We were going to be at 5 trillion, they're going to be at 7 trillion. The numbers today are they're at 5 to 6, 7 trillion, we're at almost 17 trillion. Somebody created the internet, commercialized the government technology called the internet in Silicon Valley, little city, the new Detroit. a little city in California, has some young people with some ideas like Twitter and Facebook and Google and and created jobs and pulled $10 trillion out of their area a year in GDP. Ideal, I'm getting that. 200 trillion GDP, that's your goal. Yep.
It is not clear why, like, there are some international studies, they are saying something about China that their economy will exceed the USA. So what is the motive of these international studies saying this? What's that?
I just told you that all this, the economists, everybody said 25 years ago Japan was going to rule the world. So you can get, the traditional numbers will tell you.
But China cannot be seen.
Do you guys want to have a conversation about China? Or do you want to have this conversation? I mean, I'm not being disrespectful. I only have a little amount of time. We can have a sidebar about this. This is really incidental to, I mean, you're not trying to save China.
Sure, but I'm just trying to.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. I'm trying to make sense of what you have said. The international economists, when they say something,
They don't know what they're talking about. Let me tell you something. Academics come in and they tell me blah, 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 blah. I'm an advisor to the Bush, to the Obama administration, advisor to Bush, advisor to President Clinton. I love Obama. I think he's a great man. Only 7% of people in his government has ever had a job, has ever created a payroll. How can you be an academic, come into my company and tell me how to run my business when you've never run a business? There's behavioral economics. That's really about how people will behave in the future. There are traditional economics. That's how people have behaved in the past. All statisticians base their numbers based on traditional economics, dead numbers. You told me there's a Citigroup report that says now that you're going to run out of oil in your lifetime. What do you say about that report? I mean, I can find reports all over the place, but that's not really relevant to. I mean, we're not disagreeing. I'm just saying that's another argument.
Excuse me, John. You mentioned you travel a lot. Do you have ever been to China?
Oh, I go to China twice a year. Bless you.
So you believe that they will have major social unrest and all that?
I believe they're going to have major problems, serious structural problems. I believe they already are having serious structural problems. They're just masking it for the future. Their economy is already slowing down. Don't believe me? Go check it yourself. They've got massive inventories of stuff that ain't selling because we ain't buying it no more.
And they just infused $1 trillion renminbi into their infrastructure. They're going to.
What's the point?
I'm trying to get to the point, but I'm trying to be respectful and answer the questions. Here's the point. The point is that the president, she had to leave, I guess, step out for a minute. The president, I wanted to say, she gave me this book. I didn't know she was going to give me this book. She walked in and she gave me this beautiful book. As I'm going to read to you what the book says. This is a book on Muslims, Muslim heritage, Saudi Arabia. What do coffee beans, torpedoes, surgical scalpels, arches, and observatories all have in common? Where did Leonardo da Vinci's flight ideas originate? Who devised the casings for pill capsules? And where did Fibonacci learn to flex his mathematical fingers? All these answers can be found here in 1001 Inventions, Muslim Heritage in the World, written in an blah, 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 blah. A golden age of civilization from 600 to 1600. From 600 to 1600 will unfold, blah, 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 blah. You did this, you did that. No, I'm not, blah, blah, blah is not a disrespect. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, 600 to 1600, you created 1001 inventions, ideas. What is a patent if not a monetized idea? So now when you go home, this is the number I want you to check. Go home and check the 20 top GDP countries in the world. Draw a line, then pull up the 20 top patent holding companies in the world. You'll see one for one. The top GDP countries have the most patents. You'll find, go now then check the lowest GDP countries in the world. You can pick about who they are. It's Sudan, it's North Korea, it's, help me out. Somalia, la. And you say, you draw a line, it's the 20 lowest producing patent holders in the world. No ideas, no creativity, because they're dealing with war, they're dealing with survival, whatever, right? So, if the software is the future, How do you monetize the software? How do you operationalize an idea? It's called a patent. This business, SEDCO, is an unregistered patent. It's an idea.
I can tomorrow find another sector.
Huh?
I can tomorrow find another sector. Establish another sector.
You can or cannot?
Can.
Maybe you can. But I think the Malfouz brothers infused a certain intellectual technology into this. I think it's a unique company. But the point is, it's an idea that was monetized. It was one person's idea and it was monetized. Your future is the youth, the 60%, who are going to become a generation of entrepreneurs, small business owners, self-employment projects, who are going to have ideas, who are going to infuse this economy with 10 times growth between now and 2025. Your negative becomes your positive. Rainbows follow storms. Loss creates leaders. Your negative now becomes your strategic advantage. But you've got to change the culture and the mindset of an entire generation of people who think they're going to go work for the government or their parents are going to just take care of them because this party will go forever because you've got a hole in the ground and it's spouting money. And if you think that, you're Detroit. If you don't think that, you reinvent everything. So why are you teaching financial literacy? Because the global language of money today, if you don't understand the global language of money today and you don't have a bank account, you're an economic slave. If you don't understand the global language of money, financial literacy, and you don't have a bank account, you're an economic slave. If you do understand the global language of money, on top of that foundation, you can create a new technology called entrepreneurship, called small business. What's the growth of the largest economy in the world? Where did it come from? Big business or small business? Small. And in order for a big business to be a big business, what did it start at? Small. Voila. We're on the same page?
Yeah.
So we're not talking about a nice program. We're not talking about a nice to have. We're talking about a movement. We're talking about a 20-year movement to make Saudi Arabia one of the greatest recognized countries and nations on the planet. Thank you very much. And I want to thank the president of the university for giving me this beautiful book, which I just talked about in my remarks. You need to reread this, 1001 Inventions.